So, Bhagavad-gita As It Is, chapter 16, text 7. Yeah? Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. Purport. In every civilized human society, there is some set of scriptural rules and regulations which is followed from the beginning. Especially among the Aryans, those who adopt the Vedic civilization and who are known as the most advanced civilized peoples, those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions are supposed to be demons. Therefore, it is stated here that the demons do not know the scriptural rules, nor do they have any inclination to follow them. Most of them do not know them, and even if some of them know, they have not the tendency to follow them. They have no faith, nor are they willing to act in terms of the Vedic injunctions. The demons are not clean, either externally or internally. One should always be careful to keep his body clean by bathing, brushing teeth, shaving, changing clothes, etc. As far as internal cleanliness is concerned, one should always remember the holy names of God and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The demons neither like nor follow all these rules for external and internal cleanliness. We've been discussing that there are two kinds of human beings, according to the Bhagavad-gita. Dvalbhuta sarva lokesmin devasura evacha. The godly and the ungodly, or the divine and demonic, the law-abiding and the outlaws. Devasura evacha. So the Lord Krishna has described the divine qualities at some length, and in this section he's describing the demonic qualities. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha. Pravritti means what one should do. Nivritti, what one should not do. What is, what is to be done and what is not to be done. They don't know. They don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Everything's by their own imagination, by their own concoction, by their own whims, or their own impulses, or their own schemes, but they don't follow any codes of proper behavior received from spiritual tradition, from scripture. It's all from their own heads or from their own, either individually or collectively. So, pravrittim cha, nivrittim cha, jana. Either they don't know what the rules are or they don't care. Nashocha, and they're dirty. Shocha means they don't know what cleanliness is. In Vedic civilization, the custom is to rise early in the morning, take bath. The Brahmins will take bath 2 or 3 times a day. But among the Asuras, it may be weekly, it may be monthly, it may be from time to time. And so many different ways, they don't really know what clean is. In so many ways, so many unclean habits. We could write a book about it. But externally, although they think they're clean because they have modern amenities for cleanliness, but in their personal habits, not clean. Nashocha. And that's external cleanliness, and internal cleanliness, forget it. The mind of the demons is full of nasty, degraded things. So there's no cleanliness there either. As for behavior, there are many rules and regulations guiding human behavior, such as the Manusangita, which is the law of the human race. Even up to today, those who are Hindu follow the Manusangita. Laws of inheritance and other legalities are derived from this book. Now, in the Manusangita, it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. That does not mean that women are to be kept as slaves, but they're like children. Children are not given freedom, but that does not mean that they're kept as slaves. The demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think that women should be given as much freedom as men. However, this has not improved the social condition of the world. Actually, a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. She should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown-up sons in her old age. This is the proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed-up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. The social condition of women is thus not very good now, although those who are married are in a better condition than those who are proclaiming their so-called freedom. The demons, therefore, do not accept any instruction which is good for society, and because they do not follow the experience of great sages and the rules and regulations laid down by the sages, the social condition of the demoniac people is very miserable. And we see that practically, that in the present age, the dealings of men and women are simply for exploitation. Everyone is interested in his own enjoyment, and commitment is something provisional, or something to avoid, something to make sure you can get out of if you change your mind. It's because the main theme is let me enjoy. It's all about me and my enjoyment, and at the expense of others. Therefore, men like the idea, at least initially, that women should have total freedom, because then that means freedom to be victimized, exploited. The result is that, as Prabhupada says, marriage is practically an imagination. The divorce rate now is like 50%.
More than that.
More?
It's like 70.
Is it really up to 70 now?
Serious, yeah.
I haven't looked at the
More than-
statistics.
It's like 7 out of 9 people get divorced.
7 out of 9.
In America, yeah.
Let's see. Hare Krishna. And someone may say, well, that's all right. People deserve to be able to control their own lives and have freedom, and no one wants to be stuck in an unfortunate situation. But it's irresponsible. Men and women get married, they have children, and then the children are shuttled between one parent and another. Where's the question of happiness? Where's the question? Even material happiness. we say that the material world is not a place of happiness. The place of happiness is the spiritual world. But if the material world has any happiness, it has to do with the mama bear, the papa bear, the baby bears. That's all out the window in Kali Yuga. It's become just miserable. So, Paritim cha nivritim cha janana vidarachara nashocham napi cha charo. Achar means proper behavior. The no idea what is to be done and what is not to be done. There was just an item that came up on my phone this morning on Southwest Airlines. Some fellow was sitting in the seat watching porn, and we won't say whatever else he was doing.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious. So, no idea what is proper behavior, what is not proper behavior. No idea. So these things are going on among the uncivilized people of Kali Yuga. And we may think that, well, these are low-class, unrefined people. But even you get to the higher levels, and it simply gets worse. There was a lawsuit in Canada. This is going back a couple of decades, maybe. A lawsuit in tobacco, concerning a tobacco company. Liggett & Myers, or one of them, was being sued. And they made the tactical error of introducing into evidence their marketing plans, the marketing plans drafted for them by their agency or department. And it became very clear from these plans that part of their strategy was to target teenagers, like children, not teenagers, children. You might remember Joe Camel. That was not an icon aimed at adults. And some researchers, some professors at the University of San Diego, California, San Diego, did a study. They found out that the recognition rate among children for Joe Camel was second only to Mickey Mouse. The strategy was very clear. By the time you're 18, you've chosen whether to smoke or not, and if you've decided to smoke, you've chosen your brand. So if you're 18 and you haven't signed on to our brand, you're lost. So we need to get there early. In addition to which, no one knew more than the tobacco companies about the expected lifespan of a smoker. So we'd better get there early for that reason also. So they knew exactly what they were doing. But it was justified by the bottom line. It could all be justified out of, with some rhetoric about responsibility to our stockholders and so on. So this is Kali Yuga. The big men, these are the CEOs of these companies, are not homeless vagrants. The top men in society are doing things like selling death to children. And this is only one example. We could pick dozens and hundreds of such examples of how corporate interests, for example, are busy exploiting the daylights out of anyone they can exploit the daylights out of. Whether they're foreign workers or they're owners of property where there's something we want, whether it's precious metals or uranium or water, timber, whatever it is. Because we don't know what's to be done, we don't know what's not to be done. The same way we treat the earth, the same way, suck everything out of it that we possibly can, and damn the cost. take our junk and dump it in the rivers, pump it underground. Even we had a friend, a devotee who was a student at MIT. He had a grant from the government to study possible ways to dispose of nuclear waste. And the short story is that there's no way to dispose of it safely. What happens is you put it in something like a big barrel, one of those enormous vats, and then wait for the vat to corrode. Because you can't, even your measuring instruments start to melt away. And then how to repair these things, who can repair these things? We defer that problem till later. And therefore, just to study all the possible alternatives. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? This one causes this problem. That one causes that problem. It's like a 30-year study. And meanwhile, how much of this stuff are you dumping in some provisional way or other with whatever safety precautions you can? Or if you're Russia, you just, if you're Russia, back in the days of the Soviet Union, you just dumped it in places like Kazakhstan. Just dumped it. So these are all signs of a demonic civilization where they don't know proper behavior, either on individual level or on a family level or a national level or internationally. Just full of nasty activities. Elsewhere it will say, Prabhavanti Ugra Karmana, they flourish in Ugra Karma, pungent activities, vicious activities. Vicious activities. Ugra Karma means vicious activities. So, Nasocham napi charo, nasatyam teshu vidyate. And there's no way you can get any truth out of them. Satyam means truth. Who even expects the head of state to be truthful in the present day? Who even imagines that the president or prime minister can be relied on to tell you the truth? It's assumed that he's going to lie his head off. Nasatyam teshu vidyate. You can't get any truth out of them. They're just damn liars. That's the situation of the demons. A Brahmin, or a person with the divine qualities, is truthful to a fault. Even if it's to his detriment, he'll tell you the truth. He'll tell his enemy the truth. Because for him, the truth is worth living for, even worth dying for. But a demon, nothing is worth anything except his sense gratification. Kamopabhoga paramai tavadadinashrita. His highest goal is sense gratification. Let me satisfy my desires one way or another way or another way. Doesn't matter how. Parama, this is the highest thing, to enjoy. To enjoy. So these are some of the statements of Bhagavad-gita. The divine nature, Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya, is conducive to freedom from material existence and conducive to Krishna consciousness. Nimbantaya Surivata. And the demonic nature is just the opposite. So these things are not exaggerations, they're facts. We can study them as they're explained by Lord Krishna and get an enlightened perspective on what's going on. You can read the newspapers, you can watch CNN, but if you read Bhagavad-gita, you'll get a better understanding of what's going on in the because you'll see through the eyes of sages. Vimudha nanupashanti pashanti jnana chakshusha. Vimudha means the great fools. The great fools are averse to seeing by following. They don't want to follow the vision, the understanding received from enlightened souls. Everything is by their own, I think. But, so, na anupashanti. Pashanti, therefore they can't see at all. Pashanapi na pashanti. Although they see, they can't see. But pashanti jnana chakshusha. Those who have eyes of knowledge can actually see. When we see through the eyes of Bhagavad-gita, we'll get actual understanding. Otherwise, not. All right, any questions? Yes?
I came here a little late, but I just have...
Better late than never.
I have a question. I think it's 2 parts in one question.
Okay.
One is the aspect of delusion.
Illusion.
Delusion. Thinking that I'm on a certain level, but I'm really not.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part is a lot of people cause a lot of problems, like we see in the world, like spiritual leaders that act wrongly, and they still have a big problem.
Oh yeah.
And they do a lot of stuff, create a lot of havoc in the name of religion, a teacher, whatever.
Yes.
And so basically, I don't know if it, but that was basically my 2-part question.
Okay. The delusion, self-delusion, and delusion of others can be found in any occupation. It's not that those who are supposed to be religious are religious. Sometimes they're the biggest cheaters in the world. It's a business for them, or an exploitation. Everything's exploitation, another exploitation opportunity. Exploit parishioners, exploit children, exploit women, exploit, and cover it over with some pious talk. In fact, in the beginning of another book, Srimad Bhagavatam, it said, Dharma prochita koita mantra. In this book, cheating religion is kicked out. It's so much, it's a recognized phenomenon. It's supposed to be religion, but it's cheating. And so many other things. Welfare work, but it's cheating. Education, but it's cheating. Business, but it's cheating. National defense, but it's cheating. Homeland security, but it's cheating. Agriculture, but it's cheating. Philosophy, but it's cheating. Science, but it's cheating. But this is one of the defects of the conditioned soul, a tendency to cheat. And in this present age, it's rampant. Cheating goes on in every... The wife cheats on the husband. Husband cheats on the wife. The children cheat the parents. Parents cheat the children. Sister cheats the brother. Brother cheats the sister. This is the age we live in. Does that answer your question? Another kind of cheating is you want to do something vicious, so you paint a picture of evil and pin it on religion. Then you have to save the world from religious fanatics. The religious fanatics are ready to, they hate our freedoms, they hate our democracy, they are evil in so many ways, they want to, they'll stop at nothing. And so we have to send our armies over to their countries to take over their oil fields before they cause too much trouble. That's another cheating. Religion is responsible for all the wars in the world, like World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the Falklands War, did I mention the Vietnam War? So many wars. It's as if religion were really behind them all. It's greed, which can be disguised in religious garb, or democratic, save the world garb, or what is it? Communist, equality for all garb, but it's all cheating. Something else?
I don't know. It's kind of like a stupid question, but how do we defeat the demons?
How do we
defeat the demons?
We don't defeat the demons, we avoid them.
So you can't get rid of them?
That's not our business. Well, how do we defeat the demons? The real thing is by spreading this Krishna consciousness, by spreading the Maha Mantra. People's hearts can become purified. Even the demons may be purified. But our aim is, at least those who are not demonic, those who are godly, those who are innocent, let them get the opportunity. It's said that a devotee deals with different people different ways. For those who are more advanced, or for devotees, other devotees make friends. And for those who are less advanced, the innocent, the devotees are merciful. And for the demonic, the devotees just avoid them. Make friends with the devotees, merciful to the innocent, and avoid the demons. It's said if you feed milk and bananas to a serpent, you just increase his poison. So no use trying to help the demons. What is it in the Bible? Cast not thy pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and rend thee. Whatever good thing you give them, they'll just trash it, and then they'll turn around and bite your hand. So no use trying to defeat the demons. At least, although sometimes their demonic philosophy should be defeated. They'll never admit it. They'll never admit defeat. Yes, you've defeated me. But let the innocent who are misled by the demons hear. Like the demons, they'll say, what is that? Asatyam apratishtam te jagadavuranisha aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kamohitika. The world has just come out of nothing. There's no God in control. It's just going on by the attraction and repulsion of different forces. There's nothing more than that. It's all an illusion anyway. These are some of the ideas that come from modern so-called scientists. So it's not a question of science. These are demonic ideas taking on a scientific garb or a scientific career. Life comes from chemicals. Life is just chemicals. Well, these ideas devotees should defeat by superior understanding. Life comes from life. Even chemicals come from life. The lemon tree is alive and producing citric acid. Because of the presence of life, the chemical is produced. But you can't turn it around and have citric acid or any material elements produce life. It doesn't work that way. Well, these demonic notions deserve to be defeated. Something else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So you said, you know, the Brahmin speaks the truth.
Mm.
The Brahmin will die for the truth.
Mm.
But I also heard that if the truth is disturbing, it's best not to disturb the mind of others.
Mm.
It's best not to be the bearer of
bad news.
Right. So in this case, how does one really be a truth speaker if the truth is disturbing? I'm just trying to figure out.
These are moral considerations. One consideration is don't just bring bad news. It'll reach on its own. It'll reach on its own. But we don't, what is that? Yeah, oh, I know. That one should not speak in such a way as to agitate others. Sometimes people, you know, like a child, children take pleasure in speaking in such a way as to agitate other children, tease them and make them cry. And that's our enjoyment. So, but a godly person is not like that. To speak something false or true to cause pain to others, that's not wanted. But sometimes unpalatable truth needs to be spoken for others' benefit. Some guy's flying a kite, and he's on the roof flying a kite and not watching, and he's about to step over the edge. So if you yell something to him, "Hey, you fool!" He may not like to hear it, but anything to stop him. For his benefit. For his benefit. I have a devotee friend who's just diagnosed with very aggressive cancer. And the doctors were devotee doctors. So a non-devotee doctor came into the room and she told him, so your friends won't want to tell you, so I'm going to tell you. This is the diagnosis. You've got the most aggressive form of cancer, and it's going to kill you. So she said that not to be cruel, but when you know the facts, you can get your house in order. It's a kindness. Vidura went to the palace of Dhritarashtra. After Dhritarashtra, the old blind king, lost everything in the disastrous battle of Kurukshetra, which he'd incited for the sake of depriving his nephews of their rightful kingdom. After he'd lost all of his sons, lost all of his property, he was living on in the home of Yudhishthira, whom he tried to kill. And Vidura, Dhritarashtra's younger brother, came visiting the palace and laid it on the line. That you're blind since your birth, you're hard of hearing now, your teeth are falling out, your liver isn't working properly, your memory is starting to go soft. You're living in the home of those who you tried to kill in so many ways. You're living like a dog, taking the scraps thrown to you by Bhima, who did kill your favorite sons. How degraded you've become. Now Vidura didn't pull punches. He didn't pat him on the back and say, you know, it would be better if you might sometimes take a few days break because this is not really the ideal way of life for a man of your age. No, he laid it on the line. Your body is wearing out like an old garment. Death is rapidly approaching. Your father has died. Your brother has died. Your sons have all died. Where do you think you're going? Just bashed him practically. But it was for his benefit. a sadhu, a saintly person, one meaning of sadhu is one who cuts. So cutting is not necessarily bad. When a surgeon cuts, we don't, it doesn't make news headlines. Surgeon cuts patient. That's what he's supposed to do for the patient's welfare. So sometimes unpleasant truth needs to be spoken for the benefit of others. Hare Krishna. Let's get some prasadam before you go. No prasadam. Oh, Sasha. Keep something for people who have to leave early. Okay, thank you for coming. Give something. Give a booklet. Give, yes. You're set. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Something else.
This is a question, Maharaj. Sometimes people behave in a non-devotional way or a demoniac way. But
They do sometimes.
They seem to be innocent as well. In other words, like they don't really know the rules. They don't know the laws of the material world, and then they just sort of engage in these things because whatever.
By bad association.
Right.
Therefore, we want to help the innocent. Because the innocent associate with the demonic, and the demonic mislead and exploit them. By the association of demons, they become practically demonic themselves.
I run into a lot of people that they seem nice and kind and everything. So
Yeah,
I'm just wondering the level of kind of reaction. Maybe is there something that plays, or like is it just ignorance is no excuse?
Well, ignorance is no excuse, but there are those people have different natures. Some are vicious just by nature. If they can cause pain, it makes them happy. If they can destroy something, they feel good. If they can beat somebody to a pulp or do something evil, it's pleasure. We got away with it. It's demonic mentality. Theft for the sake of theft. We don't even need it. Like the rich people who don't have so much money they can swim in it, but they'll viciously cheat others to get more money. It's just a vicious mentality. So Krishna says that the demons practically, they're born with these characteristics, demonic mentality. And others are born with divine qualities on account of their previous lifetimes' desires. It's not just arbitrary. And then there are those who are innocent. They can go either way. In good association, they can pick up the divine nature. In bad association, they'll pick up the demonic nature.
Maharaj, I'm wondering about something specific. Just thinking, I have a colleague who, just due to our extensive working relationship over many years, we're also very friendly. And, it's actually part of my job to be friendly, and that's part of the business. But there's friendship there in some form. And so he knows I'm a devotee of Krishna. And occasionally there's a mild, humorous banter that relates tangentially to that. And so I'm just wondering how much does this person ultimately get the opportunity to rise above the modes of material nature than just anyone else who would talk the same game to someone other than me that he's talking to me.
It's up to you how much opportunity you want to give him.
It's not really. I make it a part of my principle is to avoid that.
Not that you have to directly, you know, quote Shastra to him, but how you engage him in something elevating, some adhyata sukriti, something connected with devotional service. How you do that, that's up to you. Whether you give him a book or whether you get a donation from him for some particular good cause, or whether you, in the course of the banter, sling in a few good ideas that might do something for him, or whether you give him kindness in some way so that he feels, what's the word? Inclined to reciprocate. Prabhupada was walking in Central Park on his morning walk, and he would pass some ordinary person, some man walking a dog or whoever it was, and Prabhupada would say, "Good morning." Not Hare Krishna. He would say, "Good morning." And the person would respond, "Good morning." Prabhupada said, in this way, they're wishing a good morning for a devotee. So they get some benefit. Yes.
This is a question about spiritual practice.
Spiritual practice.
Yeah. When someone's trying to practice.
I heard spiritual taxes, so I was going to say I'm against it. Spiritual practice, yes.
When someone's trying to practice spiritual schedule or practice, you could fall into repetitive imitation, redundancy, not feeling what you're doing, thinking of other things while you're doing something. And so you're actually on a very shallow mental state of mind. But your idea is that you want to go deeper.
Right.
But even though you try very hard, you're not able to do that. And so it becomes kind of like an obligation, a job, very, very, very
Right.
dry, boring.
There are two things about that.
And so,
Yes. Go ahead.
even though you know what's going on, it seems like you can't do anything. You're not able to do anything about it because the same things keep coming up all the time. And so it's something very external, something very shallow, and it's something very like pretentious. Like you're pretending you're on something, some level you're doing a practice, but you're really not. Well, I would like you to answer.
Oh, no, I was just
I'm
gonna
asking him.
ask.
Yeah.
I was trying to interpret like what you.
No, don't. I want to see what he says.
Yeah.
Because I want.
I was just asking.
That's okay. There are a couple of things. One is that this is the nature of the practice stage. In perfection, everything is blissful, everything is done with ecstasy or absorption or full concentration. But in the neophyte stage, we're distracted, we do things that are just mechanically done, repetitive, and we're half there. That's what we find. So two things come to my mind about that. One is that still by that practice one makes advancement. in the beginning, you know, like let's say it's music. So you're learning some da 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 da. You know, so what is that? It's just useless repetition. It's boring. It can be distracting. But if you keep at that, then after a while, da 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 da, you become adept, and then playing the same notes becomes an entirely different kind of experience. But if we try to skip the practice and just become spontaneously creative, then we have no foundation. We miss out. It's just spotty note hitting. That's the first thought. Practice, you know, same thing, you know, muscle building or what have you. At first it's, you know, it's just this skinny guy doing push-ups. But if you stick with it, then the muscles develop. And therefore, one is advised, don't be discouraged, just stick with it, and so on. Second thing is that the quality of our practice is inspiration. If we associate with those who are more advanced, who they may be doing the same practices, but for them it has depth, it has life, it has realization. And if we ate with them, then that starts to rub off on us. That happened to Narad Muni. He was just the son of a servant, but because he was hearing great sages talking about Krishna consciousness, he became, he got a taste for it, and he became very quickly advanced in spiritual understanding. So that association of advanced, you can say, practitioners, or those, because it said that the most advanced souls, they still practice, just to show others, to guide others. But it's not the same as our practice. For them, it's pleasure also. So one is advised, somehow or other, get that association of advanced practitioners, advanced devotees. Is that okay? Yes. Uh-huh.
In the subject of like child rearing, is it possible to, is it realistic, rather, to assume that it's possible to, with certainty, be able to raise a whole family of children that are all
There's
very
no
Krishna
certainty.
conscious? Yeah.
There's no certainty in
Right.
childhood.
Even if you
I was
follow
going to, as you started, I was about to give a disclaimer that, you know, I don't have any children, I never have. This is not my area of expertise, but you're within my area of expertise.
Yeah.
There's no way
Right.
that you can have a certainty on
Guarantee.
this.
Yeah.
No guarantees issued.
So there's no like, the
No.
ingredients, right? All the ingredients that will
See.
assure the enlightened type of child.
You give them you give them the best opportunity, and it may be that by your careful attention and their good fortune, they'll become all Krishna conscious. You're giving them the best opportunity, but there again, it's not guaranteed.
And on that same note, so when what brought this on, and for some reason I never forgot this, it stuck with me. It was like 10 years ago or something. I was listening to some kind of self-help guru talking about saying, it's very disturbing for me when parents come up to me and they tell me, oh, my child is on drugs and he's got this problem and that problem. And it breaks my heart to tell them, because inside I'm thinking, well, the reason that happened is because you failed as a parent. And that's, I never forgot that. I thought to myself, that's not necessarily true. So that's the reason why I asked, because I don't have kids and I don't have kids on the way or anything like that. for some reason that always stuck with
I'll
me.
give you a reverse example. There was
Yeah.
one demon, Hiranyakashipu, and he was a first-class demon, and he had a son, he arranged for the son to go to demon school, essentially, where all the training was demonic, how to be a bluffer and a cheater and all of those kind of things. But somehow or other, the child got the association of a great devotee and became Krishna conscious. So he ruined the whole family, ruined the whole school, everything became, instead of becoming a first-class demon, he became a first-class devotee. So the opposite can happen also, that even in a family of devotees, there's an example, Maharaj Anga, a great Krishna conscious king. But his son he got a son who was just demonic in nature, cruel and ambitious and irredeemable. And at first the king was thinking, he was suffering so much, he was thinking that to get a child like this is so painful. But then later he thought that actually this is good. Now it's my impetus to get detached from home and family. So one night in the middle of the night he just left, went to the forest for spiritual realization. I thought it was Krishna's grace. I got such a demonic son. So my point is not that we should all abandon our families and take off to the forest or anything like that, but that sometimes despite our efforts, these things, because the child has his own karma. The child has his own karma. And we have our own karma. Sometimes the child is sent to afflict us. We want to have children to make us happy, but sometimes by karma, we get a child who makes us miserable. So there's no certainty about what will happen in the world of parents and children. But we, as a matter of kindness and as a matter of duty, if we have children, we try to give them the very best opportunity to become Krishna conscious and go back to Godhead. Yes.
Just really quick, since we're on this topic, I was talking to one of my brahmacharis, and he mentioned something about before, I guess, in other ages, that before trying to conceive a child, if you chant,
That's in this age also.
50 rounds. Yeah, but what I said was, what he said before was that they used to have brahmacharis doing it, but not everybody's elevated enough in this age.
No. Brahmacharis don't beget childs.
No.
Don't
No,
beget
there was
children.
brahmacharis that were there doing the mantras during conceiving or something like that. That's not true. That's
Oh
not
my
true.
God.
I know. That's what I thought too. He said something. All right, anyway, that's besides the point.
Brahmacharis don't want anything to do with that
Yeah.
stuff.
All right. Anyway, that's besides the
But
point.
there's a ceremony called Padang Samskar, which is meant to create the
Ideal soul.
doesn't create the soul, but the ideal atmosphere
Right.
in which one will get a suitable child.
So
And
there is-
Prabhupada simplified it, said chant 50 rounds.
Right,
Hare
okay.
Krishna.
So there is ways to kind of better
Yeah,
your
because-
results of having a more.
Yeah, because the
Ideal
mentality
child.
of the parents invites a particular kind of child. There was it's not a very important matter, but some years ago there was a little bit of notoriety given to the daughter of Ernest Hemingway. And I forget what her name was, but she was named after a particular kind of French wine, because that's what her parents were bombed on at the time that she was conceived.
Oh wow.
So, there's a certain mentality that the parents have at the time of conception. Generally, it's passion and ignorance in the present age. And so, what can you expect? Or sometimes, deep ignorance. You get the parents are drug addicts, and even the child is born a drug addict. They're born, what's the word? dependent on, one of those narcotics or something. So the mentality of these things are in one sense gross. It can even be grossly seen. The mother is an alcoholic, the mother is a drug addict, or the father, and these things are communicated so that even before birth, the child is affected, and the child comes out, and the whole atmosphere is, tamasic, low, degraded. The sound vibrations. Boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, ba. What kind of mentality does that create? Right? Even in the womb, the child was hearing this stuff. So this is the demonic civilization. The child is even unwanted. The parents are, they just have sex and oh no. Then the child is murdered, or the child is born. Sometimes they just trash him, literally. Or sometimes they have him, but then now what? Clearly unwanted. Then Sankara Nadakayaiva, then they make the world hellish. Because they're, they know what they are, that they're, no one wanted them, they're just accidental products of the lust of their parents. And no one wants them now. And they become bitter, they become angry, they become vicious. And then what does the rest of the world become like? The world around them, the society around them, with such people. Sankara Narakaya. Such children grow up to make the world hellish. But therefore, the purification of consciousness is important for begetting a child. To have children, first of all, intentionally, not to give birth to bastards and unwanted children, but to marry and be committed and have children intentionally, with the intention of raising them and giving them spiritual opportunity. So that begins even from before the time of conception. Then during pregnancy also there are various ceremonies that are performed again for the welfare of the child, the consciousness of the parents. Then at birth, these are called samskars. Samskar means to create an impression. To create an impression in the mind for spiritual advancement. We have impressions of all the nasty things that we grew up with. But ideally, we'd like to have all wonderful impressions, Krishna conscious impressions, spiritual impressions. So the parents try to create that kind of a background so that the child can have the best opportunity. Okay?
Yeah. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I have a question about the writings, right? It says now in the Bhagavad-gita it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom.
Mm.
And I was thinking that these can be possibly used by men to abuse women, especially.
Used by?
Men to abuse women.
Not be given freedom is different from being abused, tortured, and so on. Freedom, just like, what can we say? Like Prabhupada gives the example of children. It's not like because you don't give your children, my mother wouldn't let me ride my bicycle on such and such busy street. It wasn't child abuse. It's out of love.
But we also have these instances
flourishing called the Me Too movement.
The what?
The Me Too.
Me Too movement, yeah.
I mean, I just, for some reason, made me come back to that.
Well, that
really,
reinforces what Prabhupada's saying. You just sort of turn women loose, and they'll be victimized. Me too, me too, me too, me too. This one tried to do this to me, this one tried to do that to me. That's what Prabhupada's saying. If she's protected, they can't.
This topic is actually pretty interesting to me because, like when you look at the history of African Americans, black men have been like castrated and they were castrated, and they were also in a sense like their manhood was taken away from them, and the government has made it so they break up families and incarcerate black men. So black women would have to like stand up and be very strong. And so black women tend to be very me too, me first. You know what I mean? Because we have to be strong. And so in that sense, it's like, is that just the karma of black people?
It's
like
not everybody's karma. But
you know what I mean? Like it's hard though. It's like it's on a society basis.
Yeah,
not
I mean,
just on an individual.
like women can be tough if need be.
Yeah.
Women can be, like they can be like military drill sergeants.
Right.
They can swear with the best of them, and so on. But that's not her preferred.
Yeah, but what happens
position.
is like the psyche. This is the preferred now.
I mean,
so
that's what. Yeah.
Like
Well, that's
you're
what
saying,
happens when things are out of whack.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a societal.
When society is out of joint, then women have to become like, what's the word?
Tough or
They can't be soft. They have to be tough. She can't be motherly because, the pressure is there to, abort the child. So many things. Everything is out of whack.
Yeah, so just like the purport was saying, it becomes this demonic thing becomes like a part of like regular
Becomes
society.
normalized. Yeah.
Right? And a lot of women don't see it as wrong. Like, no, I don't need to be protected. I protect him. You know what I mean? And this is just normal. And so how do you go to these people and give them this and say, hey, no, actually, this is what...
We
How do
put
you
it
do
out
that?
there, and those who are fortunate will get it. Urmila Dasi turned me on to the blog of one young Israeli woman many years ago who had been like super loose, super feminist, free, the whole thing. And at some point she just got it. She just got it. She just understood these guys are just taking advantage of me. And I'm helping them do it. So she just flipped and became, very straight, very, chaste as ice. Turned things around. I saw elsewhere that there was a group of female students at Ivy League colleges who more or less did the same thing. They weren't religious. They weren't, Christian, Baptist kind of things. They were just smart. They caught on that, are you some kind of prude or something? I mean, what's wrong with you, honey? And all that. It's like this feminism becomes used against you so that you'll be compliant and available and, easy to cheat. So they got it. They smartened up. They wised up, and they said that, why do we have to be your tools, your playthings? And they went very chaste. They went very chaste, not out of any religious convictions, but just because they were smart. There was a debate at Harvard or Princeton or someplace between one of those women and one of the the opposite side, the a woman who is totally free and liberated and saying it like it is and all that kind of stuff. And the newspaper reported that one young gentleman had said that I liked that woman, but I'd marry this one.
I just feel that most of them won't feel this way because to get food stamps, it's best to be single and have children as you like. The more you get, welfare like supports this idea, you know. So when you're living in the mode of ignorance and in a very low income life, it's like a perpetuating cycle.
The whole thing gets just bad and worse and worse.
Right.
So what can we do? We have to give Krishna consciousness. 2, we're against city life, because that's the place where this, you know, city means the mode of passion and ignorance. So we're for country life, where, you know, things cool down, and you can live a godly life. That's natural civilization, not this, you know, bottled up in the cauldron of New York City.
Thank you.
Something else? Yes.
Yeah, so on that topic of, so it seems quite obvious in this conversation around how obvious and clear it is that it's not beneficial to a woman to be liberated in the sense of very sexually liberated and sitting around in such a thing as that. But I guess where it gets more controversial, especially, you know, to the masses in like a Western society, is, and this is partly a question, so does that mean that from a Vedic point of view, it is, let's say, not encouraged for a woman to, let's say, be a top CEO of a major corporation?
Yeah, it's not. She can do it. You look at, generally they assist their husbands. So when you look at Draupadi, for example, the wife of the Pandavas, she was like running a country practically. She had all the keys to everything. She woke up before everyone else. She took rest after everyone else. She knew who was doing what. She knew which way the money was going. You know, the whole household. But the household was, you know, like 2,000 servants and that, you know, that kind of household, not a small time thing. Basically, the royal establishment. She was running the whole thing. So she was no small time babe, you know. She was very, you can understand, very together. But she was assisting her husband. Yes, please.
I always had this doubt, like Draupadi, like this 5 husbands and 5 sons. I seriously cannot.
She could handle it. What's the question about it?
Yeah.
She had 5 husbands.
Yeah.
Yes. What's your question? That's not the standard, is it?
Yeah.
You know, she had 5 husbands by the order of Kunti Devi. You know the story, yeah?
Not exactly.
Oh, that Arjun won in the contest. He
shared.
Yeah, they came back with the girl, and they said, "Oh, mother, we brought something." She said, "Share it equally." Yeah. And then she didn't know. It's a young girl. It's a princess. So now, but the order of the mother was taken so seriously, which is another thing. You know, women are supposed to be disempowered, but how powerful the mothers are in Vedic civilization. You know, you dare not disobey your mother. So now what to do, because the mothers ordered it. So then Krishna came, and it was explained that in her previous life, Draupadi had asked for a benediction from Lord Shiva to get a husband. But she'd asked 5 times. So she got a yes 5 times over. So then it was a divine arrangement. What's possible for the exceptional people is not possible for everyone.
Yeah, leaders.
How's your Latin? Quod lecit Jovi, non lecit Bovi.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Others cannot imitate that.
Others can't imitate. The Latin means what's good for Jove, the king of the gods, is not legitimate for Bowie, the cow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anything else? Yes.
Can you explain? I read somewhere that the nature of the soul is feminine.
Nature of the soul is feminine, yes.
It has nothing to do with the gay stuff.
Nothing. Yeah.
We don't want to interpret.
Mhm.
So it talks about that the nature of the soul is feminine.
Mhm.
Can you explain a little bit about the qualities of that?
Yeah.
And how
Feminine.
the mechanics of it?
Yeah. The feminine means the masculine and feminine in the Vedic conception. Masculine predominates, and the feminine is predominated. Just like in the between the cows and the bulls, the cows don't chase after the bulls. Bulls chase after the cows, and the bulls are, the bulls are the powerful. So in the Vedic conception, masculine and feminine. Masculine predominates. Masculine enjoys by predominating. Feminine enjoys by being predominated. Therefore, women don't want to, they want to marry someone who's valiant, powerful, take charge. They don't want some milk toast, timid, half sure. Right? Everyone wants a hero. And even if she can lord it over him, then she doesn't respect him. If she can really order him around, then he's like a drip. So there's a predominating nature to and a man. If the woman wants to, if he's really a man, if the woman wants to take charge, he wants nothing to do with it. He wants nothing to do with her, because he wants a woman who's going to, really worship him or assist him or serve him. That's what the man's expecting, that the woman will try to please him. And the woman wants a man who'll take charge and protective. You mess with my wife, I flatten your face. and so on. The woman enjoys by giving enjoyment to the man. By being predominated, the woman enjoys. And the man enjoys by predominating. So that's material. Spiritually, there's only one predominator. That's Krishna. And everyone else is predominated. Therefore, everyone is female in relationship to Krishna. Even in the spiritual world, there are gopis who are cowherd girls. There are gopas who are cowherd boys. But in relationship to Krishna, they're all feminine. It doesn't mean that the cowherd boys are like gay in their mannerisms or anything. But their interest is giving pleasure to Krishna. Everyone wants to give pleasure. The trees, the animals, the men, the women, the Jamuna, everyone's, the center is Krishna, and we're all meant to give pleasure to Krishna. So that mentality that we enjoy by giving enjoyment, by serving, that's the feminine mentality. So actually, in pure consciousness, every soul is feminine.